Cloud. Hi, everybody. It's June 26th, and this is the Wellness Cafe talking about good nutrition and proper hydration in this summer weather with the heat so badly. This couldn't be a more timely topic. We are recording this, so I hope that is okay. If you would rather not have your likeness, you can turn off your video. And I also want to introduce our speaker, Jennifer Krasilovsky from Food and Friends. She's a registered dietitian. And if you like, why don't you tell us a little bit about the work you do there first, Jennifer?
Yeah, well, thank you all for having me and joining us this morning. So, Food and Friends is a community-based organization that provides medically tailored meals and groceries home delivered to people with chronic illness. We're also providing nutrition counseling for all of our clients that are on service. Some of our our organization started out in the 80s, providing meals for people living with AIDS, HIV, and over the years we've expanded. We work with people that are going through active cancer treatment, that have diabetes, end-stage renal disease, so people who are on dialysis, people with COPD, some neurodegenerative diseases, hospice. So we are the people that we work with and serve has really expanded since the 80s. And we can, so for this presentation, we're going to be talking about hydration, the benefits of hydration, kind of how to be more hydrated, talk about some of the challenges that might cause. I welcome you to participate, ask questions throughout the presentation. I would love this to be a little bit more of a dialogue rather than me just talking to you. So you can, raise your hand. Jenna's going to be monitoring the chat while we're going through. So if you have any questions that you want to type in there, we can do that. Any questions about Food and Friends while we're still having people join us? Has anyone heard of Food and Friends?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We are in Northeast DC, right near Fort Totten metro station. And we provide meals we've just expanded to Western Maryland. We go out to Northern Virginia. We're down in like St. Mary's County. And we also do shipping. So a lot of those outer reaches, we only provide groceries because we can't, we're worried about temperature of the food and having it drive such a long distance. But we also do shipping for some clients that live out there, where we're shipping it on dry ice overnight. So we served about 1.9 million meals last year.
Wow, what a
That's a
large
lot.
reach that you have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't
And
know that you sent the groceries to Southern Maryland.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't either.
And we also provide one of the great things is, and then that they kind of noticed early on was that the clients that we were sending meals to, they were often sharing it with their family members or caregivers, other people in their household. So we also are now providing meals to, children, caregivers, spouses, anybody else living in the household, just so they can, focus on their nutrition and everybody else. But often caregivers, have just so much on their plate. So if we can take a little bit off and make it everyone's lives a little easier, that's what we're looking for. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna, Jenna, I think I might jump in and start with the presentation.
Very good.
Okay, great.
Very good.
Great. All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right, fantastic. All right. let me get. All right, so today we're just going to be talking about hydration. We chose this topic because we knew it would be, the beginning of summer, and we didn't realize how appropriate it would be based on the heat wave that this whole region has been having this last week. So I'm very excited to bring some of these issues to light. So let's just talk about why. Why do we care about being hydrated? What are some of the benefits? So it's going to aid in the digestion. You often probably hear, oh, it's important to eat a lot of fiber. But we want to make sure along with that fiber, we also have to have water in our system, or we just, as the second point says, constipated. That fiber kind of attracts water in our gut. So we need to have enough water in our system in order to not be constipated. It's going to help us regulate our body temperature. It's going to lubricate our joints. 70 to 80% of the joint cartilage is made up of water, so it's going to be really helpful for that. Some of the symptoms that, a lot of people are probably aware. Headache. I know if I get dehydrated, the first thing that happens is I start getting a headache, but it can also be dizziness, fatigue, confusion. You're going to get that dry mouth. You might be peeing less, when you do urinate, it's going to be super dark. Muscle cramps is also a really common thing, especially if we're going to be exercising outdoors in the heat or just walking around. You might start feeling that muscle cramping. Mood swings are definitely something that is less talked about, and you just you don't feel well. Some of the causes for dehydration, so it could be just you're sick, you have a fever, or maybe you're experiencing diarrhea. Diarrhea, you're going to lose a lot of fluid, so it's really important that if you're having that you're thinking, okay, I need to replace some of this fluid. Also, vomiting is also going to cause us to be dehydrated. Excessive sweating. So it's hot out, we're going to sweat more, and that's going to cause us to be dehydrated. Increased urination. So maybe we're drinking, we have a medication or something that is making us go to the bathroom more. So that is something that you just need to keep in mind and pay attention to, and think, okay, am I having some of those signs and symptoms? Do I have any of these causes? Maybe I need to hydrate a little bit more. So some of the risks, we covered this a little bit in the signs and symptoms. So constipation is definitely one that is a big thing if you start feeling constipated. Just drinking more water, increasing that, starting by, let's have 1 glass more of water a day and see how that changes. UTIs are something that is not realized, but can be a result of having of not drinking enough water, having those heat cramps, exhaustion, stroke. So a lot of people might think heat exhaustion, heat stroke, they're two different things, but they're really, cramps, exhaustion, and stroke are just really on the spectrum. So when we start feeling those heat cramps, if we don't get cool, we want to come inside, get into a cooler place, it can easily move along that spectrum and become pretty serious. So as soon as you start feeling any of those symptoms of dehydration, we want to take it pretty seriously and try to be proactive about it. Our hydration status is going to affect our blood volume, so it can lead to low blood pressure, kidney problems. Our kidneys, they filter everything. They get rid of things that we don't need, they keep things that we do need, but when we don't have enough fluid flowing through them, it really starts to cause some kidney problems. The heart circulation problems kind of goes back to that blood volume that I talked about. And then just an increased risk of infection as well. So some of the things that, some of the risk factors, age is one of them. For, really, really young children, or also older adults. That is kind of who we're most concerned about when it starts becoming really hot. One of the reasons for age is as we get older, we have a decreased thirst mechanism. So our body is not telling us that we are thirsty like it used to, but but we're still thirsty, or I'm sorry, we're still dehydrated. So it's really important that even though we don't have that, gosh, I just need to drink some water, that you kind of keep in mind, okay, my body's not telling me that I need to drink water, so let me make sure I'm getting in some water throughout the day. Medication, um, anybody on diuretics, we're kind of getting rid of some fluid, and that can cause some dehydration. uh, Excessive exercise, especially when it's hotter out, like right now. Even just walking, if you were walking back in April or May and going on that exact same walk, even if you're going on a walk early in the morning and later in the evening to try to avoid those peak uh, temperature times, we still need to rehydrate after that, even though it doesn't seem as hot when you're sick. And excessive alcohol. Alcohol can often dehydrate us. So if we're having some alcohol, it's hot, we need to remember, okay, I need to balance this with some water. So one of the big questions is, how much do I drink? And that can be a little bit tricky. There's a lot of different numbers out there. It requires math. But some of the different factors that go into how much water is, um, our age, uh, how much we weigh, our activity level. So are we kind of are we having a more sedentary week, or have we been kind of out and about? That's definitely going to change things. Our medical conditions. Some people are encouraged by their doctors to drink more water, but then other people are, um, given a fluid restriction. So they're saying, okay, you can only have 1.5 liters or 2 liters. So that can be a little tricky, and working with your doctor or a dietitian is going to be really helpful to make sure that we are getting everything that we need. Um, Again, weather environment, hot out, we're going to need more water. And as I mentioned before, medication. Okay, so this kind of gets a little bit into that math. If you want to calculate, um, we have, so for adults 65 and older, we want to do 25 milliliters per kilogram. Okay, so to get to kilograms, we want to take our weight in pounds and we want to divide it by 2.2. And then you take your weight, your kilograms and weight, and then you're going to times it by the 25 milliliters or the 30 milliliters. Another easy thing, if we don't want to do the conversion, is we want about half a fluid ounce per pound of body weight is going to give you the same thing. I know myself, I do not sit there with my calculator and calculate how much water I'm drinking. So I often will just go on how much I'm peeing. Have I gone today? Sometimes I'm at my desk and I'm just like, you haven't gone since this morning. Okay, let's go get some more water. And the color of your urine, the smell of your urine. If it has a pretty strong odor, usually that means that we need to get a little bit more fluid. And this next slide just kind of gives you, a little scale to look at. We all, when we go to the bathroom, we all are looking at what just happened, and it's kind of, I think, a self-preservation mechanism just to understand, okay, what's going on with our body. And so just using this scale to kind of see if um, if we've had enough hydration. there could also be too much hydration too. Is it completely looking like water? And if that's the case, maybe there's a reason that you're feeling like you need to drink more water, and that's something to definitely mention to your healthcare provider at your next visit. All right. So I've talked a lot about why we want to drink more water, why we want to stay hydrated, the benefits, but what are some of the difficulties of hydration? Can anybody give me a reason that it might be difficult to stay hydrated?
And
Yeah.
everybody is on mute. Oh, okay. One person.
Electrolytes.
Okay. So electrolytes. Tell me a little bit more about that, Becky.
Well, you have to be sure that you're getting, the sodium, the electrolytes go out with the fluid, your urine. So you have to be sure that you are also consuming foods that will supply the electrolytes that you need.
Yes, that's a great point. Keeping that in mind especially when it's hot out and you're sweating a lot, or maybe you're having those other things that we talked about. If you're vomiting or you're having diarrhea, that's really going to dehydrate you. That we're thinking about replacing those electrolytes. With our water consumption. What are some other reasons why it might be difficult to stay hydrated? So one that I mentioned before, difficulty is we're not as thirsty as we used to be. So that's gonna definitely contribute to it, because you're not thinking about it. It's not on the forefront of your brain. But what about if you're getting a lot of water, if you're drinking water, especially kind of closer to bedtime, it's interrupting your sleep. You're having to get up, and then it might be hard to go back to sleep. You might have to get up multiple times a night, and sleep is really important for a lot of different things. So, having water close to bedtime can be tough. Stomach, you might feel already full. A lot of times, different medications might affect your appetite. Different illnesses might affect your appetite and make it a little bit smaller. So you're like, okay, well, if I drink a bunch of water, then I'm not going to have enough room for that food that I know I need to give myself energy. Yeah, Becky.
But you can sip. You can sip water. You don't have to drink a full glass. You can get a full glass and then just sip it slowly and count in that manner.
Yes, that's a great that's a good thing to keep in mind, that okay, instead of, especially if you're we'll talk a little bit more about tips and tricks later on, but if you're, oh, I forgot to drink water, okay, I'm going to have a full glass of water, and then you drink it, and you're super full. So like Becky said, having maybe a water bottle out throughout the day that we know we're just going to sip on, so we're not affecting our appetite, and we're able to kind of fit both in. Sometimes we're during travel, whether if you're driving or you're air travel or train, it's just really difficult to try to fit in bathroom breaks. And then also when you're sick, you just might not feel like drinking. It might be hard to drink. You might not be able to drink enough. So those are some of the things. Is there anything else that people want to add to this list? Okay. So how do we increase our fluid? Becky had a great suggestion about sipping throughout the day. Do you have a bottle of water or a cup that kind of sits out on the counter, Becky, or is this something that you do actually?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have some right now that I sip on. Yes, I do that, but I sort of keep track of the fluids that I'm drinking. Of course, coffee, tea also count as fluids. But then if you're looking at the urine color chart, I think one has to remember that coffee does color your urine, so that doesn't indicate that you're dehydrated.
Yes. That's a great point, Becky, that I didn't bring up, because certain things can
Mm-hmm.
change the color of your urine, certain foods, certain medications. So sometimes that chart is not always something that we can rely on. See. So these are just some different tips and tricks that we'll often suggest. You know, plain water is great, but there's a lot of other ways, and maybe you need, in order to drink more, I find myself during, this time of year, to drink more, I add lemon or
Mm-hmm.
different flavors. Maybe I'll even like put a little bit of juice into my water just to give it a little bit of flavor, and to make it more exciting, to make me kind of go for it a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
often. Um, Temperatures of waters also, right now I always have ice in my water, but
Mm-hmm.
during the winter I prefer the room temperature water. So playing around with that and seeing what your preference is and knowing that it might change. Bubbly water is a great option. Um, there's a lot of flavored waters out on the market today that, if that's the way that you want to, helps you drink more water, it's a great option. Having a water bottle with you, having one that you like. um, a lot of times I'll get to your question in just a second, Eva. Thank you. Um, a lot of times when I'm working with clients, you know, we'll talk about it. What water bottles do you have around? Do you want to, I was working with a younger client, and it was like, let's get a fun water bottle, something that you want
Mm-hmm.
to carry around and that just makes drinking water more exciting. I don't know why. Eva, what did you want to bring up?
I drink a lot of water, but I only drink sparkling water, and I understand from various people that that's not ideal, that I should be drinking plain water. Is there really a difference?
Um, it could be um, it could be difficult on your teeth, is what I've heard, just on the enamel of your teeth.
Really?
But that's something to bring up with your dentist maybe at your next visit and say, hey, how's that going? This is how I like to stay hydrated. Um, you know, is it causing a problem? The bubbles can, you know, be some other issues if you're having fullness, or satiety, where you're feeling full early. That might cause an issue, but to my knowledge, without looking it up, I would say that's what I've heard. What about alkaline water? What do people know about alkaline water? I feel like um it's been very popular lately, and everybody's kind of doing that alkaline water. Before, like Becky said, it helps you with your electrolyte. um, However, alkaline water, it's kind of the thing. Some people like the taste, and if you don't have any problems with your kidneys, and drinking the alkaline water is what, like Smart Water is one brand of alkaline water. If that's going to make you enjoy drinking water more, go for it. But a lot of times people think that, or it's marketed that alkaline water is going to help detoxify your body, or it's going to help you hydrate more, or it's going to change the pH of your blood, and that's going to be beneficial. And if we think about it, so alkaline water, you know, water is typically a neutral pH of about 7. Alkaline water is going to be like 8 or 9, I think, off the top of my head. But if you think about it, we drink the water, it goes down into our stomach. Our stomach has a pH of about 2. And it has that because that's how our body starts, you know, helps with the digestion process. So it's going to start breaking things down to get it ready for our intestines, so it can be further broken down and used by our body. So when it hits that pH of 2, it's going to go down. So that alkaline water that we just had is going to go down to around a 2. So it's not really, it's not going to change our blood pH. We actually really don't want to change our blood pH. It's like right at a perfect level, and our body works really, really hard to keep it there. So again, if alkaline water tastes better and if it's more exciting for you to drink it, that's great, but it also can be a little bit more expensive. And there's, you know, plain water is going to be just as good to help you. And so building hydration into your schedule, hydrating every few hours when awake. So just, you know, kind of like Becky said, we're doing the sips. Maybe we do a little bit of habit stacking. So habit stacking is when we take something that we do every day, whether, you know, maybe it's when we brush our teeth, or we take a certain medication, or we go check the mail or something. We add something else on to that. So every time I brush my teeth, I'm going to make sure I have a few sips of water afterwards, or maybe before. We don't want to mess with the fluoride. But you kind of get the idea. Setting an alarm or using Post-it notes, especially if you're fine with room temperature water, having the water out where you can see it, that's just really helpful in general. I find that with, for like my vitamins are right here on my desk. If they were up there, I would not see them, I would not take them. So just having something where you see it. Remembering that excessive caffeine and alcohol will dehydrate us. So we either want to avoid it, we want to just keep that in mind, that we need to increase the amount of water. And just, you know, like a lot of people are really staying indoors these days because it's so hot, just staying where it's cool, avoiding that midday heat. Anybody else on the on Zoom have any tips about how they like to drink more water?
The old Weight Watchers trip.
Oh yeah.
Have a glass of water before each meal.
Okay.
It fills you up and it gives you your water.
So yeah, that's kind of like the habit stacking. And that could be for, you know, we want to make sure that could be good for some people, but for other people who have trouble with their the amount of food, and their appetite is pretty low for whatever reason, we want to make, okay, let's keep the water. Maybe I'm going to set a timer because I'm going to have lunch at 12:30. So I'm going to set a timer for 2:30 after I've kind of digested, my stomach is not as full, and then I can drink more water. So I think playing both ends of that spectrum is a good thing to keep in mind. Yeah, that's very helpful. Anybody, I like to add lemon. I like to add a little bit of juice. What have I been doing lately? Sometimes I'll make like a watered down herbal tea, and I'll use that. That's a nice way to flavor. Anybody else have ways that they like to flavor their water? Herbs are really nice.
I found water that is flavored called Hint, and it's a lot of different fruit flavors. I do feel a little guilty using it because it's in individual plastic bottles.
Okay.
They don't sell it by the gallon, but it looks like this.
Yep. Yeah.
And they have at least, I'd say, 8 to 10 flavors, fruit flavors. And I am able to get a case of this on Amazon. It's about $1 a bottle, but when I think of like sodas and things that I shouldn't be drinking, um, I'm not paying for those, and those are about the same price, if not more.
Have you ever seen the drops? They
Uh,
have these drops now,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
where you can you just drop it into your water bottle, and that will give it some flavor. That might be something else to check out as well, if those, because those flavored waters do make it a little bit more exciting. Or some people, maybe they love water and they don't need it to make it exciting.
my mom likes to use Crystal Light powders,
Mhm.
but that uses different types of sugar that I don't feel are as healthy as just regular sugar, which the hint doesn't even have.
Right, right. And those kinds of things, like using the Crystal Light, a lot of those powders that might have artificial sweeteners, we got to think about, there's a lot on the media about artificial sweeteners. And unfortunately, a lot of it is, um, I think, poor reporting on different studies by the media. Because if you kind of read the article, it's pretty sensationalized. It's it grabs your attention, it makes you concerned. But then if you actually go to the study and look at it, a lot of times those, either a small sample size, they were using rodents instead of humans, and we have different, our body works in different ways, so you can't translate one thing from another. um, it's just a lot of it sensationalized, and you have to look at what are your health goals. Okay, if we need to cut back on sugar, um, if we're dealing with some blood sugar issues, if we are living with prediabetes or diabetes, having something that uses artificial sweeteners and helps us get more water, which is going to be good for our kidneys and good for our body, then that's great. You have to everybody looks at their own personal health goals to make those decisions, what they feel comfortable having in their body. If it's regular sugar, artificial sweeteners, it's everybody's different. So it's good that you consider your own, you're considering your own, Jenna, and making decisions based on that. That's really important. Another thing that I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot, or enough, is the foods that help keep us hydrated. We don't, um, a lot of times we don't think about that. Frozen desserts, anything that is liquid at room temperature is going to help us stay hydrated. So a lot of times for my clients, if they're having trouble drinking, but the popsicles or something like that is really soothing, then I think it's a great way to get some hydration. Fruit. One thing I love about nature in general is that foods that are in the summer, that grow in the summer, have a lot of water content. So our melons, our cantaloupes, our peaches, oranges, all have like over 90% fluid or water in them. So it's a really great way. If you can change it up, okay, we're drinking a little bit more water, but I'm also going to have some watermelon, and that's really going to also help us stay hydrated. Those cucumbers that we have in the summer are also going to be really good for water. Soups, fantastic. They are, if somebody doesn't feel like drinking water or drinking more beverages, but they enjoy soups, whether that be, colder soups, hotter soups, great way. Smoothies and nutritional shakes. So like Ensure, Boost, or making your own smoothie at home is going to be really great ways to kind of eat your fluid. Jello, again, if we think about it, it started off as a liquid, and then the gelatin made it firm. But that is a fantastic way to get a little bit more fluid. You can get you know, sugar-free or regular, whatever works for you. Yogurt or cottage cheese. This is actually something that I was going to have for our snack today, bringing because both of those foods have really a good amount of hydration. They have a fantastic amount of protein in them, which is something that is often hard to kind of fit in into our day. So having those, you can top it with some fruit. You have even more, um, you know, higher water content foods. And applesauce is also another great thing. Any other types of anybody else have any kind of foods that they like to eat that helps them stay hydrated? Yes. I think I see. Is there some um yeah, I'm drinking a lot of or I'm eating a lot of watermelon lately. It's just all I want. This next slide also just gives you an idea about the different types of foods. So we've talked about a lot of these, but you know, bananas, avocados, corn, you know, all of these things have a good amount of water in them and will really help. Um, and then Jenna, did you want to mention something?
On the past slide, you mentioned yogurt as a
Yeah.
good source of fluid. Would you recommend Greek yogurt over regular yogurt or more of a Greek yogurt is very thick
It's
compared to some of the other yogurts. What is there a
yeah.
preference?
So again, that is going to be what are your goals? Do we enjoy yogurt and we're just looking to kind of increase the amount of to help us with our hydration goals, then you know regular yogurt is fine because you're right that Greek yogurt is thicker. But one thing that is amazing about Greek yogurt is it has a ton of protein. And it's a really good way. Protein is really important to help us preserve muscle mass. It helps us after we've had an infection or sick, we really need to increase our protein that we eat. So that can be yogurt, cheese, it can be tuna fish, meat, nuts, legumes, all of those things. It's really important to kind of focus on that after we've been sick to help our body heal from it. So you know, if any time that I'm working with somebody who's had a wound that's healing, we really talk about increasing their protein. So if that's the case, I would say go for the Greek yogurt. But you know, plain yogurt or regular yogurt has still has a good amount of protein in it. It's still a good source. So again, it's kind of like, what do you like? Um, I always like to, when I'm working with somebody, okay, find out what they like because I could say all these different things and say, oh, this is what you should do. You should do A, B, C, D. But if they don't like A and they don't like C, D, you know, then let's find something else. So it's really about what your individual goals are. All right. So that kind of brings us to the end of our presentation. Is there any, Jenna, was there any questions in the chat that I happened to miss?
No, I don't see any chat questions, but if someone has a question, you can
Yeah.
raise your hand or type something in the chat.
And it could be about what we talked about today. It could be about food and friends. It can be about something else. You know, or also I'm curious to kind of hear if anybody learned something new or you know, is going to take away a little nugget from what we talked about today to help them just stay hydrated in this super hot weather we're having.
I am a little surprised about how much water some of the foods you mentioned have.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
An avocado I had that much water.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. You just like if you're because hydration can be hard and it's really important to, we're not going to go from 0 to 60. We want to, like anytime we have increased anything in our diet, we go by little by little by little and see, make a goal for yourself. Okay, this week if I normally drink 3 glasses of water or 3 bottles of water a day, this week for 4 of the days, I'm going to try to drink 4 glasses of water. We're going to go little bit. It's like when we are trying to eat more fiber, we're not going to go from eating a small amount of fiber to a large amount of fiber in one day. That is going to cause problems. It won't be comfortable. It's going to be hard to maintain that. So little bit, even if you're like, okay, when I get up in the morning, I'm gonna have some water, if I start my day off with some water, and that way I'm kind of ahead of the game. If I usually don't.
I see blueberries in the photograph and wonder where they come in the range of water.
I think blueberries, from when I was researching this, they are definitely like strawberries are in the 90 percentage. I would have to take a look at blueberries. I bet you they're going to be above 80%. Definitely. Definitely.
Because I generally always get those at the store, not for water reasons, but because they're a superfood.
Yes, they're really, I mean, they're delicious and it's a fantastic time of year to be loving blueberries. But that brings up another point too, is sometimes either if it's not in season, throwing some frozen fruit into a pitcher of water and just keeping it in our fridge, and then we can kind of top that off throughout the day. That's going to be a nice way to give us a little bit of flavor. We're using frozen, so it's usually a little bit more economical. And also I like having frozen because it's always on hand and I never have to worry about it going back. Grapes are another fun thing that I actually like to put in my freezer and I'll eat. That really helps me stay cool as well. Yeah, Becky.
I just looked up blueberries, 85% water.
Thank you, Becky.
And also some doctors recommend eating pickles or cucumbers because they have 96% water.
So that's, yes. Cucumbers are, again, that
really
food
high
that grows in the time of year that we need it. With pickles, we want to, it could have a opposite effect because they might have a lot of sodium in them, which kind of will make us super thirsty.
And there's a question in the chat about water content of raspberries. Would that be up there with strawberries?
I imagine, yeah, it's going to be more about like blueberries if I was going to make an educated guess. Have to look, but I'm going to say it's going to be up there above 80% as well. Oranges, great one. Let's see.
85.8.
Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you attend all of my presentations just to be my fact checker.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed just the opportunity to chat with y'all today. This is definitely kind of knowing that this was coming up, and seeing the hot weather that we were having. I'm like, perfect. If we can, help anybody identify, have one more, understand one more sign of dehydration. Maybe it's not for you, but maybe it's a friend or a neighbor or a family member that you're like, you know what, you kind of seem a little bit irritated more, and you're not
Mhm.
usually like this, or you just you seem a little confused, or that headache you have. How much water have you had today? So just if it helps you or somebody in your life, um, remember, as soon as we start feeling those signs of heat, cramping, exhaustion, we want to take it very seriously, because heat stroke can be a very, very serious thing. Oftentimes our body temperature will rise, but that's not always an indicator of it. So we want to take it very seriously and make sure that we get inside and we start hydrating. We can use cool compresses, uh, a washcloth, a cold shower or something like that will also help.
Mhm.
And let's see. And
May
this
I
is, yeah, please.
interject something
Yeah.
else? If people are driving long distances, they should remember to drink water, because that is, being in a car, even if it's air conditioned, you need water when you're driving.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. That sun is beating down on you, and you might
Yes.
not be, I don't know, depending on the person who's driving, they might say, up only one bathroom break, and so you drink less water. I whenever I'm driving with somebody like that, I say, you know what, I'm just going to take the bathroom breaks I need, and we're just going to get there when we get there.
Right.
So, but yeah, like when we were talking before about having to, worrying about if drinking a lot, especially later in the day, can keep us up at night, let's try to change our focus a little bit and think, okay, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to try to fit in the amount of water that I want to get in before, say, 4 o'clock or something like that. Not saying we don't drink after that, but we really focus on hydrating in that earlier first part of the day, and that way it might not affect us as much, and make us get up as often. That's something that just kind of happens. Our bladder size and control changes, but there's different things that we can do to kind of play around, and so it doesn't affect us so much. This is our information. If anybody is interested in learning more about Food and Friends, volunteering with us, we have some really, our volunteers are amazing. So we did 1.9 million meals last year, but we are a staff of about 65 people. So we did not do that by ourselves. Our volunteers are amazing. Everyone who works with our volunteers are amazing, and it just makes it like a really fun experience. If you're ever interested in just getting a tour of our building too, they do summer tours, and just to kind of see our facility. I'm downstairs where we have all of our administrative, but our upstairs we have a huge kitchen. We have our grocery area. We have where they pack all of our prepared meals. Our prepared meals kind of come in like a little TV dinner type of tray that we make. Our volunteers are going to help us pack it, and then we put a piece of film on top so it travels and can be heated up easily. But it's a interesting place to kind of learn about. If anyone's interested, you can contact me and I can get you connected with the right people.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm putting the phone number and the email address in your chat so that you can click on it or jot it down from the slide here. I hope I spelled your name correctly. I did check that. Yes. Okay. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for spending this time with us this morning. And I learned a lot that I just wasn't aware with, like that water affects joints. That I didn't know. And I've been having some knee cracking and I think I need to drink water and make a goal for that specifically.
Mhm.
But I hope everyone else found a few tips and information that is new to you about drinking water and will increase your efforts to make these goals and to increase liquid intake.
Yeah, just feel better in this heat.
Mhm.
Gonna help.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And yes, we'll be getting a copy of this recording that we've made so that you'll be able to give it out to members, Eva, and also to our members. Would it be possible to get a copy of the slide deck, Jennifer?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I like to send that along with the recording so
Yeah.
that it's something that they can immediately click on. And I think your slides were really good because even if you missed the narration, there's a lot on the slide that you
Mhm.
covered.
Good,
Mhm.
good. Yeah, and yeah, I wanted to do that just in case we were in person, but some people are virtual and it just sometimes it's hard to hear. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that they were helpful. And I just noticed I'm gonna put my this is my email address in the chat. There was just one extra S on it as
Oh,
in the other one. So this is
oh,
my email
sorry.
address. Oh gosh, there's so many letters in my in
Okay.
my in my last name. So but
Thank you.
please, yeah, if anybody has questions or wants to know more about our eligibility criteria to become a client, if you know somebody that might help, there's no uh, you don't have to have there's no income requirement for us. We kind of believe at Food and Friends that anyone can get sick and everyone can help, so it happens to everybody. And yeah, but
Yeah.
thank you so much. It was
Thank
nice
you.
talking with you all and hearing from some of you and about your tips and tricks. And I hope you just share it with everybody that you know to help everyone stay safe.
Mhm.
Well,
Thank you.
again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we
Bye.
really appreciate your time today and this information.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you all.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Bye.